and welcome back to my channel. I'm Millie Automotive and you greet me in sunny Croatia.
We arrived at the airport and started our journey to our first campsite in the mountains in Slovenia. We stopped at a beautiful lake and went swimming and then arrived at the campsite, which was absolutely incredible. Not before going down some quite scary roads down the mountain, which was an amazing experience. We put the van into sport mode, which really sharpened up the driving experience. The next day we made our way to Croatia and drove through Italy. It was absolutely beautiful to see all the scenery. It really was an amazing adventure and we really got to use the most out of this van, and I feel like I can give a real honest review to it now. After our second night we made our way back to the airport with some stunning views. So let's get into the review.
Now, a few weeks ago, you may have seen that I lived with the T6.1 for a week, which is a great opportunity. Now I'm here with the new camper van. Now, it's not actually called a
T7 because it's on a whole new platform. The new California benefits from the new MQB platform, which brings improved interior space and availability of driver assistance systems like Park Assist, Travel Assist, and Matrix LED technology, and more. We've got 3 different trim levels: the beach camper, which has a manually operated pop-up roof, a versatile cabin with 5 seats that can be changed for additional sleeping spaces, and also a compact mini kitchen in the rear. You then get the Coast, which is very similar to the Ocean but doesn't have all of the fancy equipment. So you do get the new kitchenette and an electric pop-up roof, with the range topper being the Ocean, which you get similar things to the Coast but also a lot more. I'll show you around it now.
The price of the new California hasn't been released yet, but if it's anything like the previous generation, it's not going to be cheap. Today's video is sponsored by ALA Insurance. If you buy one of these, you've probably just made one of the biggest investments of your life. But what happens if the unexpected occurs and your vehicle is completely written off? Most motor insurers will only pay out for current market value of your vehicle, which can leave you with a significant financial gap. That's where ALA Guaranteed Asset Protection, otherwise known as gap insurance, comes in handy. It ensures you receive the difference between what you originally paid for the car and what your insurer values it at. Whether you bought your car outright or opted for a finance or leasing deal, gap insurance is the perfect choice to protect your investment so you can drive with peace of mind. To find out more about ALA Insurance,
follow the link on screen now.
So let's have a look. What has visually changed with this camper? So the front has been completely redesigned to be in line with the rest of the Volkswagen products, and I think it looks really smart. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the new look.
With the Ocean, you can get the IQ Light package with LED matrix headlights with dynamic range control and cornering lights. The look at the front is now very modern and it doesn't feel as bulky as the previous generation, a lot more streamlined. As you can see, the previous generation definitely looked less modern and more van-like. And something I really like is the font on the new generation, which I think looks really smart. As you can see on the previous generation, it was a lot more bold and less cool.
The back of the camper van is where most of the changes have come in, I think, because this looks so different.
Again, it's been completely redesigned and the lights are now more squashed and also wider than the previous generation. It's a big change, as you can see from the previous generation here. Let me know in the comments, which do you prefer? We also have the California written again in the nice font, which I really like, and a new spoiler, which is quite sporty, and I think it adds to the design.
Now, because of the new door, you now can't get a cycle rack that goes on the back, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing because it made it so heavy to open. You obviously have a tow bar, which they encourage you to use for bicycles. So, the boot is very heavy, as you'd expect it to be. We still have the seats here as well, which is really handy.
The seats are more comfortable and they also now have a darker grey colour along with the table, which is now in the boot instead of the door.
Now, one thing they've done which is really good and super practical is they've changed it so the water is now on the inside.
If you guys remember, the water used to be where the electric hookup was.
Apparently, people did a few times, they accidentally put diesel in the water tank, which isn't great, is it? So I think this is a really good safety feature, and also you don't want people just being able to open it and put whatever they want in it. So that's really handy. We also have storage here, and to be honest, not much more has changed. We do now have a thicker mattress, which I can tell you is slightly more comfortable, but it's never going to be a clouded mattress, is it? So it feels familiar in here. Definitely it's had a spruce, it's had an update, but I really like it. So the seats, we now have this lovely dark fabric with the leather effect and California embroidered on the seats, which I think are really nice. Now before, I had the issue with the previous generation with the light grey seats that they stained with watermarks quite bad. Now I haven't had this problem with these seats, and I think they'll actually wear a lot better. Now onto the infotainment system. So we now have no buttons for the climate control, which is okay, I can deal with that. It still works quite well, and you can sort of tap to change things. So we have the sort of, this reminds me of a Mark 8, I always say that, Mark 8 steering wheel, but it has proper buttons, which I'm really glad to see. Everything's very user friendly and it just works really well. Now one thing we don't have, which has changed quite dramatically actually, is we used to have a unit here that would control everything for the camper. So you'd have the pop-up roof here, which was actually quite annoying because you kind of had to have your arm up for quite a while when you did the roof. Now we've got buttons right here, and also it's super easy now to control everything. You now have an app as well, so it's just even more easy to live with.
The infotainment screen is now your central console for absolutely everything. You could do your camping mode, your leveling, you can turn off the fridge here, and you can also obviously use it for music, radio, Apple CarPlay. It worked really well. It didn't glitch for us. Really simple to use. Only slight annoying thing is the haptic buttons for the climate control and the volume button. Slightly inconvenient, but you can definitely live with it.
It's a lot less dull in here than it was before, and that was my problem before. So now we have nice different effects on the dash. We've got this sort of wood effect, silver aluminium effect, and also almost like carbon fibre, which I really like. Got plenty of storage as well. We've got storage here, here and here. Now I will say, it does feel a little cheap to me, but you've got to remember that these are designed to be practical and not premium. They're a mix of a commercial vehicle with a normal vehicle, so you'll get the best of both worlds, but I don't think you'd want it really premium. You wouldn't want leather here because you can wipe everything down here. Really user friendly. So let's go into the back and we'll have a look at the sleeping arrangements. Hello and welcome to my crib. So you may already realise how different this is from the previous generation. We now have 2 doors on either side, which is such an advancement in campers. I mean, it's amazing that we've got this. So I did speak to them and they said that they weren't able to sell this on the Australian market because it didn't have a door on the left side. So now they do. This car will be available in Australia, which makes a lot of sense. So you will see that we no longer, because we've got the extra door, we no longer have the big kitchen that finishes to about here. So the whole thing with this is there's different zones. So a lot of it is about being outdoors. So you've got zone 1, 2 and 3. So this is the living area. Then we have the kitchen area. So we now have a table that is on this side. It's a lot smaller, but you can swivel it all the way around so you can use it outdoor for outdoor cooking and also indoor. I think this is super practical because when I was living in the van, I didn't actually cook anything smelly in the van because I didn't want it to affect the upholstery and soak up the smells. Now, being able to have the opportunity to like plug something in and just use this kitchen area is really great. I think it will be really good for a lot of people. But again, let me know in the comments, would you rather have had the big kitchen? Now, we actually lose one of the hobs as well, so it's a bit of a shame, but we've got a hob here and also the sink. Now, I'm absolutely fine with this because, again, I think you just make your tea here. You may make some pasta and then you can plug something in. There's plenty of sockets around and I think it's really user-friendly. Unfortunately, we do lose a lot of cupboard space. Now, things like this, you've got the sockets here, but you don't really have that much space. And I think you might struggle with pots and pan space. That's my one takeaway from this. You do have all the cupboards on this side, but again, you may be using that for clothes. And also on this window, we have a big sort of pack where you can put a lot of clothes and things. So we also have the fridge down here, which I think is a lot easier. So originally the fridge was right here. Now we have a sliding drawer fridge, which is lovely if you just want to come in and grab a drink. You may also notice that we have 2 seats here instead of 1, which was one bench that you pulled along. Now I find this is a lot easier to put down. So to put the bedding down, you basically have to pull this all the way forwards, turn the headrest down, and just lay it flat and you're done. Do it both sides, really simple to use. I think it's a lot more user friendly. And we've also got 2 isofixes here so the whole family can enjoy this camper.
Now, because of that kitchen unit being smaller, you now have a lot more space to move around. It's a lot less squished in here. And the mattress is also a bit comfier.
Now, not much has changed with the pop-up. We still get an electric pop-up with the California, but we also have this lovely mood lighting around, which is really nice, but very bright when someone opens the door in the morning. So we have the control panel here, which is really convenient. So I can literally control everything here as well, which is really handy if you don't want to have to go to the front. So it's basically the same amount of things you get in the infotainment screen, but around here for passengers, or if you're asleep and you need to do things like the fridge, which also comes with a quiet mode for nighttime, which is really nice. Everything is really simple to use. It gives you a status overview, and I'm really impressed with it.
Before we go for a drive, I'll also talk about the awning because it's now on the left-hand side as well. You can choose which side it comes, and there's a snap lock system you can change if you want to after you purchase. The winder is also now stored in the canopy instead of in the actual van.
On to the all-important drive, because let's be honest, in this you're going to be doing that the majority of the time. This is the diesel, and when we first got in it, we actually asked ourselves, which one is this? Is this the petrol or the diesel? Because it's so refined. It's not loud, it doesn't sound like a tractor, and it drives really nicely. It's got that instant sort of torque that newer diesels have. We have 3 different options, as I said earlier: the petrol, the diesel, and the plug-in hybrid. Now my biggest issue, and I said this with the T6.1, is I don't think it's very good having it as a 2-wheel drive. For me, I would be using it a lot in the UK, and getting off pitches in a 2-wheel drive car is not fun, and this is so heavy. When you're on a bit of gravel or you're trying to pull off fast, it does wheel spin like the previous generation did as well, which is a bit of a shame. But like I said, this is a lot more refined, and you actually, going up hills and things, it takes in its stride. You don't even realise the weight of it until you're coming downhill and you're like, oh dear, this is not a car. It needs to slow down, and it's very heavy. Now it is still classed as a light commercial vehicle, which is what the appeal to it is really, because obviously you could go for something like the Grand California if you really wanted something a lot bigger and you could live in it more. It's not actually got that much wider, but it has got longer, and I think that's practical. It still fits in car park spaces. You can still get it through the bollards, through the barriers. And when we went on it last time, we found that you obviously don't pay as much in ferries and things because it is a light commercial vehicle. Miles per gallon wise on this, it's really good. It's about 35, 34 we've got, and that is slightly better than the previous model. It's definitely got enough power, but the problem is that the plug-in hybrid is the only car that gets 4-wheel drive. Now, let me know in the comments actually, because I'd be really interested to know, are you worried about 4-wheel drive? Because I know I would be, because I don't want to get stuck in a field somewhere. I don't want that stress if I'm going away, and I want to be able to use this all year round. You've got the heating. It's not like camping. You can use it all year round if you'd like. Now obviously they've introduced the new zones with this, so they've really encouraged outdoor eating, and maybe it's more seasonal for them, but the real ones that are at it do it all year round, and it's part of the fun of it, isn't it? I've always loved these chairs as well. They haven't really changed since the previous generation, but with the 2 armrests, you actually do feel like you're in this giant camper. Like, I feel like I could be in a motorhome. It's quite good fun. But you do actually have different modes in this. You have eco, comfort, and then you have sport. And the sport does really sharpen everything up, and it's really quite pokey, look. Whoa. Well, compared to things like Golf GTIs, it's not, but
600 metres, turn left onto Servan Uvel Elitsa.
we're going to the beach. Let's go get away. Sorry. Yeah, it's really, it really does sharpen everything up, and it feels very pokey. I think when we were going down the mountains and things, it would have been quite good to have it in sport mode, just so you got more response with the van. So Volkswagen could have taken the T6.1 and made a few minor upgrades and called it the next generation. They didn't. They've completely redesigned it. They've been really innovative with it, and I think it's really, really user-friendly. Now, they've spoken to consumers, they've seen what they like, what they dislike, and they've fixed things. There's a few things that I think are a little bit backwards, like the blinds on the front windscreen,
which are thicker material and more blackout, but you now have to manually put them up with 4 tent poles, compared to the ones that were integrated in the windscreen.
But there's other things like the extra door, like the outside living concept that I think is really great. Now, you obviously have the option, if you prefer the T6.1, that's fine. But I think this is going to open a lot of people's eyes to the new camper van, and I think I would even buy one of these. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!